That would be your matchup disparity that would work out in Virginia's favor. I just feel that the defense from the Spartans is going to affect those shooting percentages and make it a little more lopsided. And a Michigan State team in that kind of big game is not going to be committing turnovers. I wouldn't think at too alarming of a rate. So, in a super tough good game, either the best or second best of my Elite Eight, I've got Michigan State winning a close one over Virginia. And then, so that brings us to our Final Four, my Final Four predictions. We've got Kansas versus Oklahoma, and we've got Kentucky versus Michigan State. I would love both of those games. And this is, I told you before, I don't trust Bill Self and the Kansas Jayhawks, but I need a number one seed. At least I feel like I need a number one seed in my Final Four, and they got the best chance, in my opinion. So that's why they're here. But I have them losing to Oklahoma. Let's look at the matchup. Kansas shoots way better from the field than Oklahoma does, but they both shoot phenomenally from three-point range. Oklahoma a little better from the free throw stripe. Oklahoma a better rebounding shooting team. They both turn the ball over at the same rate, and they both create turnovers at the same rate. This is an extremely evenly contested game, and I just feel that Oklahoma is going to out-physical them and out-clutch them, and that's going to be the difference. And I actually have Oklahoma beating Kansas to advance to the championship game. Oklahoma. And that I changed. I didn't have the courage to do that, but before I wrote Kansas in. But no, Kansas ain't making it to the championship game. Just maybe. But and then on the other side, like I said, we got Kentucky versus Michigan State. That game is going to be off the chain. But I'm very confident that overall, Tom Izzo's Michigan State team is just the superior team, and they will beat Kentucky too. So it will be a pair of two seeds playing for the championship, Oklahoma versus Michigan State, and your winner of the NCAA championship will be the Michigan State Spartans from the Big Ten this year. Whew, there you have it. All right, so just a quick little recap, nothing in great detail. Teams I really like to get to the Elite Eight. Okay, let me give you just my top couple teams in each region. In the South, you gotta like Kansas, but I also like Arizona a ton. Wouldn't blame anyone if you like Nova. If you're looking for another sleeper, possibly Iowa or possibly California. Out west, I do not like number one seed Oregon. I very much like the 4 seed Duke or the 2 seed Oklahoma. Those are really the only two teams from that entire region that I feel good about making it to the Final Four. Duke or Oklahoma, ride one of those two in the West all the way to the Elite Eight. Ride them both all the way to the Elite Eight. Over in the East, I feel most confident about Kentucky, obviously. However, I feel like Indiana could surprise some people and make some noise. I also feel that North Carolina, should they be able to survive their Sweet 16 matchup against either Indiana or Kentucky, most likely, that they stand a great chance to get to the Final Four as well. So those would be the 3 teams that I would... Kentucky, and then North Carolina, and then possibly Indiana. Anyone on the bottom side of that bracket, Xavier, Pitt, Wisconsin, West Virginia, I don't like any of them. And then finally in the Midwest, like I said, Michigan State is my favorite team to win it all. Outside of Michigan State, the only team I really take seriously is 1 seed Virginia. So there you have it. And I mean, when it comes to national championship contenders, my favorites in this order would be Michigan State, followed by Kansas, just because they're, smart money. It's not necessarily, the right choice, but it's hard to argue with. Followed by Oklahoma. I really like Oklahoma's chances a lot. I like Kentucky's chances a lot. North Carolina, Duke, and Arizona as your surprise sleeper, with some Virginia thrown in there. I'm not sold on Nova. I'm not sold on Xavier. I'm not sold on hardly any of the 3 seeds. I'm not sold on Oregon, the 1 seed. And I think that's the best that I can sum up for everybody. So boom, go out, hurry up, listen to the show, fill out your last bracket, submit it somewhere, and send me, a 5% commission of your winnings as a thank you. because it's only right. Okay, so there we go. Balls on Fire has officially been put out, and we are going to whip through, whip it good, doom, 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 through the rest of the show. We're going to whip it good through the rest of the show. Let's stick with basketball, at least for a little bit, since we're here. Told you I was watching the T-Wolves game earlier tonight, so we're moving to balls dribble in the NBA. And the T-Wolves win in Memphis. I want to say it was like 114-110, something like that. T-Wolves were pretty much in control the whole game. T-Wolves played well. Healthy Ricky Rubio. Big Cat. The team has got a really solid starting five. There is simply no depth, which needs to be added. However, you can't do that in the NBA via the draft. You really have to do that developing your drafted players, which we haven't done a great job of, and free agency. So if you want to add depth to this team, look at free agency. The draft needs to be used to either find a legit starting point guard or, I don't know what other route you go then. Maybe a 3 to flex Wiggins. To allow Wiggins and Levine to really flex between Wiggins with the 2 and the 3 and Levine with the 1 and the 2. Or you possibly go for another big man, a true big center to start along Big Cat and have Mr. Gorgie Jang come off the bench. That would be okay too, but those got to be your direction. Either another big to go with Big Cat or, a swing man, shooting guard type of guy, or a point guard. My personal choice is a point guard. Get the replacement to Ricky Rubio. Ricky would be a fantastic backup. He just can't start for a playoff team, a contending playoff team. So then that begs but they win tonight, and we like to see that. A lot of people, here's the one Wolves talker will discuss. A lot of people discuss if now at this point in the season where we can't get into the playoffs, if it is better to keep losing games and increase the ping pong balls we get to possibly get a better draft pick in the upcoming draft, or if we should try to win games. And I think the answer is really simple, and it's not even close. You try to win the games. Hello, it's Herm Edwards here. You play to win the game. Herm would tell you. He has told you. He's told us all. Okay? But changing a franchise's culture from a losing culture that hasn't seen the playoffs in 13 consecutive years to a winning culture of a team that expects to be in the playoffs every year and has the goals and aspirations to contend for conference and league titles, that's a much harder thing to do, and it's, you got to take those opportunities when you can. So in my opinion, it's way in the Timberwolves' better interest to get wins here, drop down a couple draft spots, and learn how to become a winning franchise, both with all of our young players and with our coaching staff and with our front office, okay? Everybody involved needs to learn how to do this, and all the more practice they can get. But for now, like I said, we are happy. We are celebrating a T-Wolves win, and we are looking forward to the future of the Minnesota Timberwolves for once without, and we can do that sensibly. We can do that sensibly for once. So that's, well, at least we got that going for us. But rest of a quick look around the league, the Warriors are still incredible and on pace to possibly break the all-time single-season record for wins in a season, held by the Chicago Bulls, who were 72-10. The Warriors, at last I checked, were a full game or two ahead of their pace. But we'll have to see how things play out. The Warriors did lose to the Lakers, and statistically speaking, from margin of or from a winning percentage standpoint, it was the greatest upset in NBA history. That happened just a week or two ago. I forgot to mention it on last week's show. But so the Warriors are still incredible, and I want to say that they're still perfect at home this year, and that dates back to last year as well, and it's the longest streak ever. And the San Antonio Spurs have also, by the way, not lost a single home game this year and are very much for real. And do not be surprised if and when they take out the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals. And then out east, you've got the Cavs in 1, and Toronto's kind of hanging out there at 2. And Just nothing that really scares anybody. I don't think anybody thinks the Cavs can be beat prior to reaching the NBA Finals by anyone in the East. And I also don't think that anyone really expects the Cavs to beat the Warriors or the Spurs or the Thunder, whoever comes out of the West. But that's all the quick look we'll do in the NBA. We'll get done with balls on dribble quickie style, and we will move to balls on ice quickie style, where we will start with my and possibly your Minnesota Wild, who were in action last night in Ottawa, taking on the Senators. That game went into overtime. I believe it was tied at 1 apiece when it went into overtime, and the Wild lost, missing out on a point, but still getting a point, a very much needed point in their playoff race for the final wild card spot in the Western Conference playoff picture, and we are battling with Colorado Avalanche for that final spot. The other 7 teams have all but been officially determined. It is just a matter of who will be seated where, but when it comes to that final playoff spot, it is a highly contested race between the Avalanche and the Minnesota Wild. How tight is it, you ask? Well, let me tell you. As of right now, as I'm recording this, the Avalanche have 76 points and the Wild have 75 points. However, the Avalanche have played one more game than the Wild. The Wild have 12 games yet to play. The Avalanche have 11. So every game, every point is crucial here from this point on. Battling it out for the 1 seed in the Western Conference atop of the Central Division are the Stars and the Blues, tied at 91 points. The Blackhawks, who had been occupying that spot for much of the recent past here, have hit just a little bit of a schneid. They are sitting there with 88 points. Out in the Pacific, you've got the Kings on top with 89, the Ducks with 85, the Sharks with 84, and your top wild card team at the moment, at least. Well, no, this will be your top wild card team in the Western Conference, and that is the Nashville Predators with 83 points. Quick look out east, Capitals still just crushing it over everybody else. They have 105 points. Second in the Eastern Conference has 87. Second in all of hockey has 91, 14 points less than the Capitals. So if they go into the playoffs this year and do the choke job in the first, second, or third round that they have become famous for, anything short of a Stanley Cup Finals appearance will be a huge letdown and failure for this Washington Capitals franchise. Behind them in their division, you've got the Islanders and Rangers. Both New York teams have exactly 85 points apiece. Out in the Atlantic Conference, you've got the Panthers with 87 points, the Bruins with 86, and the Lightning with 85, so still a lot of shuffling to be determined there. And then the final 2 wild card spots in the East, as it sits right now, belong to the Penguins with 82 points and the Flyers with 80 points. However, the Red Wings with 79 points, very much hanging in there. And I guess the Hurricanes have a snowball's chance in hell, but likely a 3-team race to determine those 2 spots as well. So boom, there's a little balls on ice for you. We'll try to go more balls on ice next week as we're really, more in the final push of this playoff push. Excuse me, too many push-its. Push it real good. But point being is we'll try to specifically break down what's going on with the Wild a little more next week, trying to wrap this show up. So hence that. All right, let's move on to, let's get a little bit of Twins spring training baseball talk in there. Twins are looking good. From whatever you can tell from the spring training, Twins are looking good. Pitching staff is looking decent. Still questions on where Nolasco is going to fit in and if he's going to be able to contribute. Who's going to be that 5th starter? Honestly, we should all be looking at it as just a temporary placeholder for one Jose Barrios to come up sometime in May and occupy that spot and kick butt. That's what we should be looking for anyway there in the pitching staff. A lot of talk as well on if Perkins should stay in the closer role or if Jepson should be the closer, because Jepson's just flat out better at it. For right now, you can definitely plan on Perkins staying in the closer role. If he struggles look for them to start with like